Hey, and you know, I love to talk about obsessing over your customers on Mondays. In fact, I love to talk about it all the time. Okay, so let's talk about. I'm going to give you, let's back up a second. Obsessing over the customer is what are the three things? You guys should know this by now. It's make things easier, not harder. It's add maximum amount of value to their life, and then to treat them like a human, right? The golden rule: treat them like you want to be treated. And I thought today we could do what are some examples of some value that you can provide to your consumers, your clients, if you're a real estate agent, obviously buyers and sellers. And so let's dive into that right now. We'll take about 10 minutes to go through this. I have 10 actual things that you can do to add value that don't cost any money or not a lot of money to get put together, but they're things that buyers and sellers are thinking about all the time with homeownership or getting into homeownership. The number one most important thing are home valuations. It's an updated analysis of a home's current market value. Most homeowners have no idea what their home is really worth in today's shifting market. So you've got to review recent sales, neighborhood trends, property specifics, what they've updated, what's around it, things like that. And it's easy to do, right? You just pull some comps, you create a short valuation report. It doesn't have to be fancy. And you walk your client or your customer through it in really plain language, right? Super simple. So what's a way to get people to say, hey, I want to know more about that? Well, offer it. Send out an email or a text or a video text that says, well, are you curious what your home is worth right now in today's market, right? I'm willing to do and happy to do a free home valuation for you. Start with that, see how it goes. Let me know. The second thing that is common, these are questions and requests that we get pretty regularly. So I thought I'd share them with you. That's mortgage checkup, financial review of a client's current mortgage. If you've purchased in the last couple of years, you've had probably have some kind of ARM or adjustable rate or some kind of floating interest rate that might be a little bit out of control right now compared to what today's rates are, which is really close to the high fives. So it's a good time to be reaching out to people. And you just have to get their information based on what their current note is, all the terms of their loan, and compare it to what's available out there. And you can connect them with your lender, or you can use our lender. We're happy to do it just to get an idea of how much equity there is, what kind of payments could be adjusted, things like that. That's a value add service. That's a financial service. It's a service that you're helping somebody improve their life. When you refinance something, you get if you do it right, you get 2 months off of payments. You get a lower rate. I mean, it's a big time short-term money saving maneuver that, people that are worried about jobs and savings accounts and things like that would probably really appreciate at least knowing more about it. Do not assume that any of your clients know exactly what's going on like you do. That's the number one mistake agents make. Don't make that mistake. You've got to assume that they don't know anything. Or if they're learning something, they're not learning it from you, which means you're not controlling the narrative, which means they're learning from Wall Street Journal, Reddit, ChatGPT, et cetera, et cetera. And we all know how troublesome that can be. The third thing is real similar to, in fact, I'm going to weave it into my sixth thing also. So just in the interest of saving some time. But there's a seasonal calendar that you can have and offer to people for maintenance around your house. There's also a financial calendar that you could do for buyers, but we'll talk about that differently. But if you think about the things that matter the most in a seasonal checklist for property upkeep, it's preventative maintenance that avoids costly surprises and preserves home value over the long term, right? An ounce of prevention is worth whatever the rest of that cliche is, it's worth an ounce of prevention is worth a ton of replacing, right? Major repairs later. So the systems to check, right? Roof, gutters, window leaks, plumbing. When you do plumbing, water heater, you want to drain it every year. I think they say if you're a Byrne, you do it every 5 years. Checking the leaks around the toilets and the sinks and under the sinks, things like that. HVAC, super important. We swap out our filters every 2 months. We get it serviced once a year, actually twice a year, one for the heater, one for the air conditioner. I'm a little particular about the HVAC because we have an old house. And so those are, and then like sprinkler systems is another good thing to check. But if you can build up a vendor list and a calendar, like a cadence for them to be doing that, one, that gives you a couple things. One, you've just added value. Two, you know when to check in and what to check in on, every 2, 3, 4 months, however often you space it. And that's like a great way to stay in touch with your people. Is a great way to stay in touch with your people. You're not getting too personal, right? Talking about their mortgage, talking about, the valuations and taxes and stuff like that. You're just talking about, here's some things that we're doing that can help clean up your house, your landscaping, your pest control. Here's the people I'm using. We've got them to agree to this simple price for you. Thought you'd want to take advantage of it. In fact, you should take advantage of it. It is probably the best conversation in all of real estate, in my personal opinion. And you can add the most value because you can get vendors involved. And when you get vendors involved, now you're adding value to the vendors too. So you get to have those fun conversations, which is something else I can talk to you about later. Services, big time. That's a big time deal. When you're talking about mortgage, so the fourth thing I have here is purchasing power assessment. This is for buyers. Buyers right now, they think they understand that they just need to save up for down payment, right? But there's closing costs, there's moving costs, utility switching costs, there's new furniture, new TV, new car costs after closing. And then there's, I got to get out of my lease costs. Like there's a lot of other hidden costs that are in there that are with moving that I think buyers don't spend a lot of time talking about and being strategic about. And the agents need to do a better job of that too. Ours do a pretty good job. I'm assuming some of you do too, but I know that there's a gap there in the amount of service that's provided. So I think if somebody's thinking about buying in the next 12 months, you need to do a really good job. Like just go meet with a professional real estate agent. Obviously, we're happy to do that with you. But just whomever it is that you trust, and tell them like, these are my financial goals. This is my current situation. These are the things that I need to be thinking about with my down payment. And then you can start to put together a plan for where certain bits of the money will come from, right? So if you get combined services with us, you get a little bit of cash relief. If you know what you need exactly when you go in to negotiate with the seller, you can ask the seller to help out, right? There's a lot of different places the money can come from other than mom or dad and yourself, all right? Not all of it, but a good enough to make it work sometimes more quickly than you think. But you've got to spend the time as a buyer to sit down now. And as an agent, you've got to spend the time to educate the buyer on what their options are. Does that make sense? So that's adding value. And what's great about that is like, I know it's 12 months down the road. Let's talk about it now so we can have a plan in place. That's critical, right? Now you're treating people like a human, you're adding value, and you're making things easier, not harder. Now we'll do the fifth one here. Property tax review. A property tax review is super simple. It's a review of the homeowner's annual property tax bill at the end of the year. It's another reason as a real estate agent to reach out to clients or customers and let them know that you're there to help them from overpaying on taxes because they didn't protest their taxes in time or they're not paying attention to that. But you can do that. Okay. And it's super easy. You can provide some comps, help them file, connect them with tax professionals, which is I like to do that. It's a little more expensive for the property owner, but it's more professionally done. And they do it at a high level all the time. So we use a couple in Austin, but you don't have to use them. You can do it yourself, or you can just give them the data that they need so they can go make their own case if that's what they want to do. But offer that. Have a conversation with your clients about that. Everybody needs to be pushing down their property tax valuations every year. Fight it every year. That's my personal opinion. Another one, this is kind of goes in with the mortgages, but an equity growth report. It's nice to know, to go back to your people that bought 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, X amount of years ago, and just say, hey, you bought here. Here's what it's worth today. Here's the equity that you probably have. There's actually some pretty smart calculators online that could do these things that I think are really helpful and do a good job of calculating current mortgage value. So you can get a good idea of what the equity is. And then if you turn around and you have a conversation of, have you ever thought about building wealth through real estate? I know a lot of my clients have and have done very well for themselves. And you have some equity if you wanted to tap into it, where you could double down on real estate, and just want to see if you wanted to have a conversation about that. Most of the time, the answer is I'd like to know more. Okay. So that's easy. You just create a one-page report showing equity growth, possible next steps, right? Just a super simple, easy to use piece of information that you can give them. Now, all of this, you need to be reaching out to all of your clients on this stuff through video text messages, direct messages, email, some phone calls if you want to, but you don't have to. But those 4 ways right there are the most effective. They cost nothing. And you're adding value. You're staying top of mind, right? It's beautiful. There's some others in here, running a little bit low in time, and I'll tell you what, I'll send them out in an email, or you can DM me if you want the rest of them. But there's, just read them to you. The neighborhood data pack, a utility bill audit, which is, I've actually never done it. ChatGPT told me to do it. I don't know if I quite understand what it is. But then, another consultation around the move up and downsize pathways. If you're paying attention to your clients and their seasons of life, you can anticipate and approximate like what their next move is, and you can start having conversations with them about that. Trust me, the older we get, the more we're thinking about what's next and how to position ourselves to be successful there. And wanted to just make sure that you understand that. And these 10 things, I'll send out an email so you have them. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know. You guys are amazing.